We're just going to hook up Samuel's communication device so that everyone can hear his answers.
I've lived in Concord, New Hampshire my whole life, and the schools here are pretty inclusive for students with disabilities. I was in general education classes all the way through school, and I had a lot of friends and was part of clubs and sports. But things felt confusing after I graduated. I wanted to go to college, date, get a job, live on my own. But no one tells you how to be an adult, let alone an adult with a disability. I suggested an idea to my dad, who is a filmmaker. How about I interview badass adults with disabilities about their transition to adulthood? I decided to start by interviewing people I already knew, like Judy Heumann, Bob Williams, and Keith Jones because they are people I look up to. They are great advocates and role models for kids and young adults with disabilities. I wanted to ask them and other people I admired about their transition to adulthood to help me and others be successful. Success can be defined in many ways. These are just people I wanted to have as mentors. We wanted to focus on people who would be honest and tell it like it is.
I mean, you interviewed some amazing people. I'm such a fan of Judy. Seeing her in this film, and especially now that she's passed away, what an amazing legacy that she's leaving in this film, on top of an amazing lifetime of achievement. Which actually leads well into my next question. The importance of this film in relation to disability justice. Now, just a primer for the audience. Disability rights are kind of the things that people like Judy were fighting for, of, equal access to jobs and anti-discrimination for people with disabilities. Whereas disability justice is just about seeing disabled people as people, equal treatment, letting us just live our lives as regular people out in the world. And there's a lot of great reading that you can do about disability justice, and there are some great disability justice advocates in this film. So how do you think your film showing a disabled person just living their life regularly, asking questions about stuff like dating and politics, how do you think that works into the representation of disabled folks on film?
Disabled people should have their voices heard, and we should be able to tell our own stories. I don't like that movies and stories about disabled people are often about curing, or saving, or even killing the person because they have a disability. Or you will see someone with a disability have an average talent at something and people will be, quote, inspired, and respond to the talent in a way they might not to someone that doesn't have a disability. We created this documentary and our impact campaign so that millions of young adults with disabilities will feel more seen and heard, and find their own mentors. As someone who struggles to communicate, this film is incredibly meaningful to me because it is making my experience visible and it is getting my voice, and others' voices, heard. I can't wait to see how it changes the landscape. I think it's going to help improve the world for disabled people. I learned from my mentors that it's not easy to be an adult with a disability. But one of the best pieces of advice I got was from Maysoon Zaid, a comedian and actor. She said, "You are not alone. Find your community." Connecting with the disability community has helped me feel much more confident in myself.
I mean, I completely agree. Yeah, thank you. That's an awesome answer. I mean, finding your community is so important. I mean, when I'm around other disabled folks as well, it's like you're just communicating on a different level. So I totally agree. How did you choose which parts of the interviews with your mentors to use in the film?
I reviewed the best sections from the interviews with my dad and we picked out the most powerful lines. I also like people who are funny, so we included some of those lines from Keith and Maysoon. Like Keith's advice about bagging it up. We wanted to focus on people who would be honest, and tell it like it is.
Especially on Keith's note of bagging it up, the animation in the film, I want to shout out the animator. So good. Yeah. Did you want to talk about the animation at all?
Sure, a couple things. Thank you, Elspeth. Thank you all for being here. This is so amazing for us to see the film with an incredible crowd on a big screen. It's incredible. So just because you brought up animation, I want to acknowledge a few people that are here today. Our animators are here today. Ben and Zilia are somewhere in the audience. You can't see there, they are. Drove up from Vermont. Our film editor, James Rudenbeck, is here, I think right next to Ben and Zilia, exactly. Samuel's mom, Betsy, is here, VIP person right there. Unfortunately, Isaiah couldn't come up, our brother, and Molly, his direct support professional who makes a cameo in the film, is here. And then we just have some amazing friends and family here as well. So we brought a posse up to Toronto, and we are going to Blue Jays game tomorrow.
Yes.
But so I guess one thing I just want to add to that is Sam and I made a commitment from the beginning to hire a majority of the paid production and outreach crew be people with disabilities, right? And we made that commitment right from the beginning. And so, what are you saying no to? Did I make a mistake? Sam always keeps me on track if I make a mistake.
Yeah.
What did I say wrong? Monday. Oh, did I say we were going?
The game.
The game. Oh, I guess I said the wrong day. Yes, you're right.
Well, the game is on Monday.
See, this man keeps me on task. But that idea of hiring a majority of people with disabilities was so important for us for many reasons. You know, we wanted to practice what we preach. This was a disability justice film, which had people with disabilities working on it. But it totally informed the film. Every single step of the way, we creative role and technical role in the film that we could.
Yeah, and it always does come across when filmmakers choose to do that. Such the joy and the care put into the film, it comes across for sure. Okay, so we're about to bring it out to the audience for questions, but I'll just ask one more. You did address this in the film a little bit, but can you share some tips on communicating with you, or maybe other people that have trouble communicating?
Be patient and do not talk down to me. Ask me how I best communicate. Slow down the pace of the conversation to create more space for me to contribute. If you don't understand me, ask me to repeat what I said. If I'm typing on my device, don't start another conversation. Please wait for me to finish.
I mean, I would just, maybe to talk a little more about the reality of living alone. There's this, I think, almost a myth about independence. I think it really should be more talked about as interdependence. There's a whole team. Yeah, I agree. There's a whole team that makes it possible for Samuel to live alone, right? Direct support professionals, the overnight nurses, Betsy and I do what we can to help. And that's the whole idea of not having people in institutions, is redirecting the exorbitant amounts of money that are spent institutionalizing people and redirect some of that so people can live in their own communities, in their own homes. And everyone, and everyone should have access to safe, affordable, accessible housing. Everybody, and we want to use this film as a way to advocate for that, advocate for the supports and services and economic systems that support people with disabilities living in their own places as adults, which other adults want to do as well.
I continue to work part-time at the Westchester Institute for Human Development doing film work and presentations. I am also in college at NHTI, the local community college in Concord, New Hampshire. I am working on getting my liberal arts associate's degree. I have been taking one class a semester and have a 3.0 GPA. So far I have taken sociology, cultural anthropology, psychology, contemporary ethical issues, U.S. history, social media strategy, mindful communications, Western civilization, geology, and statistics. This semester I am taking a class called Environment and Society. I also joined the Student Senate Club at school. I have enjoyed meeting new people. I I am hoping to make more friends at college and maybe find a girlfriend. I'm also considering transferring to a 4-year college in New Hampshire.
Nice. I mean, you sound pretty busy, and a lot of the stuff that you're studying will be super helpful in promoting the film, I think. That's fantastic.
Sam, what's your next project?
Yeah, great question. What's your next project?
Do you have another project in mind yet?
No.
No, it's actually, it's really a question that, go ahead. Do you have a film that you have in mind in the future that you want to do?
No.
Well, people ask that a lot when you start showing a film.
Good.
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Samuel said, I got a job at Meadowbrook, which is a local arts and music kind of or performance hall near us. So his next project is actually not in film. It's about a whole new job that he's taking to help work at an arts festival where you go to 25 free shows a year. So that's a big project. And people do ask a lot when you start showing a film, like, what's your next project? And this is a little insight into kind of the independent filmmaking world. You need to spend like 2 years just pushing the film out. That's a full-time job right there. And so we're gonna be doing a lot of festivals, a lot of screenings. We're gonna have a whole national community screening campaign of the film. We don't have distribution yet, so if anybody wants to talk to us about that, we're excited because we want to, get it obviously to streaming and TV. But we have a really robust educational distribution network that we self-distribute a lot to universities, to nonprofits all over the world. So that's like a full-time job right there. And Samuel's, this is my full-time job. It's Samuel's part-time job. As he said, he's got other things on his plate too, and other things on your agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll be pretty busy promoting this film. I mean, I know it'll do really well, especially in community screenings. So I don't know if you'll have time to start working on your next film just anytime soon. Yeah, that's a really great question for Samuel. The question was, how do you want parents to act, and what do you want parents to know about having a disabled child?
My advice to parents is to include your kids in everything, like my family has done. My advice to schools and colleges is to be inclusive. All of my schools have been inclusive, and that made a big impact on my education. Find new ways to help people with disabilities, especially for employment and social life.
Yeah, and I would just say as a parent, our goal has just been to try and get the barriers out of the way for Samuel so he could live his full life. And that's hard work, it's hard work, and it's nonstop work. And you want it to be easier. I hope it gets easier, and I think it has gotten easier over decades, but it still feels like there's so many barriers, from segregated school to sheltered workshops and employment, to lack of access to college, to lack of access to social activities and recreational sports, to healthcare barriers, housing barriers. There's a lot. It's relentless, right? But I think that what we found is by trying to open up Samuel's world as a young person and have him be alongside his non-disabled peers in school, he started creating a vision for himself where he can now advocate for himself much more effectively. And you do. Like, now you're leading your own life, and we have a lot less involvement than we used to have in his life. So if that helps at all, we hope it does.
Yeah, just to repeat that in case you didn't hear, it was just such a lovely comment about Samuel being a mentor and like really stepping up that representation, and the importance of seeing yourself on screen, and what a great example this is. All right, any final words before we wrap it up?
Go ahead, Samuel. One last.
It was great to be with you today. Thanks so much for your questions and reactions. We'll keep you posted on the ride ahead.
What he said. Yeah, thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming.